Hello, we're George and Nashima Tab with Life Without Limits Coaching and Counseling. And we've got a great show lined up for you tonight. And I'm going to just wait a couple minutes and wait for folks to log on and to make sure we're live and in full effect. So,
good evening and welcome to the call. Well, welcome to our Facebook Live episode 2.
Episode 2. This is our second episode. So we're excited. We're excited about the information, getting the information out. And we're going to, you think it's a good time to do the disclaimer?
Yeah, we'll get started with the disclaimer because we may do that a couple times throughout our time together tonight. First off, this is going to be about 15 minutes with regard to discussion and information that we'll talk about. And then there'll be time for 10 minutes of question and answer. And we promise not to take any more than 25 minutes of your time. We do know that your time is valuable. So the first disclaimer is that even though we're both licensed clinicians in the state of North Carolina, we are not providing therapy online. This is not online therapy. It is couples coaching, and it is couples coaching no matter where you are in your relationship journey. If you consider yourself a couple, you are welcome to participate with us. This is a public forum. Any comments that you post will be shown because this is a public forum. And if you have a personal question or thing that you would like for us to personally address for you, please email us at lifewithoutlimitscc@gmail.com. That is lifewithoutlimitscc@gmail.com. And the other thing too is, even though we like to call ourselves the experts on relationships, we're the experts of our personal relationships. So the things that we're going to share with you are our personal relationships. We'll share things that are biblically based, that are from articles and books, and things that we learn on our journey as being a married couple, things that we've done in practice. So we want you to use the grocery store shopping cart method. Only put those things in the cart that you want to buy. So in this case, only put those things in your cart that you would like to use. And with that, I'll go ahead with you.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you, baby. So tonight, this is kind of a continuation from last week. And last week we got this kicked off. And this week we really wanted to turn our focus to how do you know if your relationship is in trouble? And, there are signs, and sometimes we see the signs and we ignore the signs, or we don't want to see the signs. Whichever it is, we've got about maybe 3 or 4 points because obviously we're limited with time. And but we're going to go over about 3 or 4 points. And the first one is was the follow-up from last week. Last week we talked about doing 10 minutes per day, just working on your relationship. And that's just communicating, talking about your day, talking about your feelings, talking about, your emotions, what's going on, any new events, how do you feel about current events, things that's happening in the world. And, because all these things affect your relationship. And so, how did you do with that? How did you do with
Right.
checking in?
Right. If you found that it was a challenge for you to spend 10 minutes a day, just uninterrupted time talking to your partner, your spouse, then that's a sign. That's a symptom. That's a symptom that things are out of balance, and you want to work on that. And you can certainly share whether or not you did good or you had success or whatever, if you like, via the email or via the forum here. Just, know that it is a public forum if you put something like that in the comment section. But what we mean by trouble in a sign, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily headed to divorce court.
Right.
However, it's a sign that something is out of whack, unbalanced, and that you need to wield it in and work on that with your partner.
Yeah, and honey, some of the things that I've seen just in, the coaching and counseling that we've done with, various different couples is when it comes time to spend that time with your partner, things come up that kind of get in the way of that 10 minutes, like the cell phone, like being on the cell phone, being distracted. It's amazing how, I ask myself, man, how did I get by 10 years ago without, without the cell phone being so involved in almost everything that you do? I love the technology, but there's a place for it. And so, television, for me, a lot of times, I like to catch up on sports when I get home. I want to know what's going on in the world of sports. And so, watching television is a big deal for me. But, I have to be conscientious, about when I do that, and not let it be like this automatic process. But anyway, the computer, just being distracted. I remember in the early days when we were really growing in business, I was distracted on the cell phone, man. I was, I would take calls all day, and then I would come home and I'd be on the phone. And I didn't really understand when she said,
10 to 10, that was my rule.
Yeah, but I didn't understand that I didn't understand that I was present in the home, but emotionally I wasn't present. I wasn't available, especially if something wasn't going right, or, somebody's messing up. And it's in business, if it's to be, it's up to me. And so, you're the buck stops with you. And so, you feel that extra burden, that extra stress. Video games, that's another thing. I was, amazed at, just how much sometimes, we could play video games. I like to play with my son sometimes, and man, we could easy drop, 6-7 hours, just playing video games. So, the other thing is drugs. Okay. Drugs, if you're under the influence, how effective are you going to be at that 10 minutes, communicating? And then there are other things that exit, even, I think we even talked about pornography, right? Yeah. And so, these are, we call them like little exits in a relationship where, you kind of get off, and it's really, and part of it is not really wanting to deal with what's going on in that relationship. So, and I know you had some other points too, right, baby?
Yeah, and I'd like to definitely cite any sources that we use in our work as we come towards the programs. And two of the items that I found that I wanted to share was also in this article, 10 Signs a Marriage is in Trouble. And one of the things that I wanted to be the person to talk about this, because I've been guilty of it myself. And that is you and or your spouse frequently bring up hurts and past mistakes, which shows a lack of forgiveness. I know when we get in the heat of the moment, we are telling him something, we may get the head going, we're just mad. We are just saying whatever comes to mind sometimes. And that's because definitely we are upset, we've been hurt, and we're acting in anger, because that's the initial response is usually anger. And anger is a emotion that is self-protective. When you get past the anger, there's really usually fear, hurt, shame, and other emotions under there that you get down into. But this whole thing about bringing up past events, and I know that I have said this a million times. Oh, I forgave. Oh, I can forgive you, but I don't forget. I forgive, but I don't forget. Well, the thing about that is when we forgive, but we say we don't forget, what we're really saying is we forgive you, but we don't trust you yet. So we have to be honest and really talk about things. And, if we love our spouse, we're supposed to love unconditionally. And certainly there are certain things that are that breaks that rule per se. And that may be something that come up in later sessions in our coaching time. But being able to forgive is crucial, and that's the first start for your ability to be able to trust again.
And I don't know about for some of the fellas that's watching, or maybe going to watch this video later on, but there's nothing that really that tears me up more inside is when the Shema kind of goes over something that I may have done in the past, or maybe I've messed up, and it really kind of, because there's nothing I can do about that, and ladies, for your partners, that's kind of how they feel. There's nothing we can do about, okay, I shouldn't have sent that text message to that young lady or whatever. There's nothing I can do about that now. We can move towards the, what you say?
I said I could break his fingers. I'm just kidding.
but there's nothing really I can do about it. And so for me, it kind of feels like, well, I don't know. It's just like rehashing something, and we're trying to move forward, but you kind of bringing us back to that moment. And I understand the healing process, and I understand that sometimes there's healing that needs to be done to get that trust, to be able to have that forgiveness for that partner. But at the same time, going back through it again,
it does.
A year later, 6 months later, throwing it back up, because it just takes you right back to that moment of time where you made the wrong decision at that particular time. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
did you want to do the next one?
No, go ahead. I'll let you do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And another thing is that that your relationship is in trouble is if you feel that your spouse doesn't have your back. And this could be the gamut this could be anything really, whether it be emotionally, you're the only one that's really sharing emotionally in the relationship. It could be financially, it could be in the work world, and just feeling lonely in the marriage.
Let me jump in there,
Go ahead,
honey, because I'll be honest with you. It was probably, I don't know, we had been married maybe 10, maybe 12 years before some of us have gone through so much before that relationship. And maybe at the hands of parents, at the hands of guardians, at the hands of an ex-partner. And so when you come into that relationship, all that stuff that you've been through, you bring that into the relationship. And so, for me, being on my team, and I say my team, because I remember early on, man, we would have these, high level discussions, and you would go, well, I'm on your team. We're on the same team. We want the same thing. Well, it really took me a long time to really, truly understand that, because you feel like, a lot of times when somebody disagrees with you, or maybe they criticize you, you automatically go to your defense. And so it felt like, I was being attacked.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And in the same manner, the same thing with having your partner's back. Sometimes when we're as women in the relationship, when we're in the work world and we're go-getters, we're about getting our education, as the young folks say, getting our grind, and we all about the grind and all of that,
right,
and moving up the ladder in the corporate world or whatever, which is where I was when we first got married. Even though sometimes that can be perceived and seen as maybe we're competing. And if it looks like that, and if you kind of got a little bit of that, I got it going on, then definitely your partner may not think that you have their back. So along the way, one of the things that I know that I did personally was is to kind of be open to showing a softer side of me. And especially today in the work world, we have to put on so many masks and guards, etc.
Very challenging.
That we have to shed it before we come home. So I know we're getting close on time. We may not get to the other point.
Yeah.
So at this point, I do want to give the disclaimer again, because we had some more people to come on, that this is not therapy. This is a coaching session online on Facebook Live. If you have a personal matter that you would like for us to address for you, please send us an email to lifewithoutlimitscc@gmail.com. Anything that you post in the comments is public, and this is we want you to take the grocery store approach. Only put in the shopping cart what you want to take home, and the tablet for next week.
Well, let me
we
do
got
this
time to
before we
do
go
the
tablet.
Okay.
Because a lot of people ask the question, well, why are you guys, doing a show? And one of the reasons that we're doing this is because, number one, we want to give back. And I think, so often, I think that's important. And you say, well, I can't do that, but we all can do something. Obama said that. He said, in his final words, his final speech, he said, do something, get involved. And so this is our way of giving back. And a little bit about us relationship wise, we've been married for over 25 years. We've been self-employed for over 20 years. I think it was 1996 when we got started, when we launched our first company, right? And so, a new business and a relationship, they don't go together. Because a lot of times that business becomes another relationship as far as the demand on time. And so, and honestly, if we could do this and one or two people can benefit from it, then it's worth our time. And it's worth what we give. And so again, if you've got questions you want to ask, and this may not be the platform, maybe you've got personal things, you want to talk about, just send us an email, Life Without Limits, coaching and counseling, and limits is with an S, CC, at gmail.com. So I'm going to go be back.
All right. So the tablet for the week, for next week, is
the
tablet, that pill that we want you to swallow. And that's a play on our last name, by the way, for folks that may not know.
It's Tab, T-A-B-B.
So we talked about some of the signs. How do you know that your relationship is in trouble, your marriage is in trouble, your partnership, whatever you want to call it? How do you know if it's in trouble? So what we want you to do over the next week, we want each spouse to talk to your spouse and ask, what can I do to improve the relationship? This is not me saying to you what you can do for me.
Right.
Or what he can do for you, or what she can do for you. This is a time for you, both parties in the relationship, to submit and ask the question, what is it that I can do to make our relationship better? Right.
And what's interesting is even at this stage in our relationship, I mean, we still ask that question.
We ask the question. We have check-ins, and we'll probably have sessions on that. But we have check-ins a few times a year with each other, and we can talk about what those check-ins are. But starting out with asking your spouse, what can I do to make the relationship better? It shows that you're invested, that you care about their feelings, and that you want to be an active participant in your relationship.
Absolutely. And guys, one thing I realized is that when Nashima and I got married, we were in our early 20s. And so for me to treat her like the girl I got married to, 25 years ago, we're going to have problems because she has changed a lot. We all change. We're dynamic human beings. And none of us stay the same. And so we always change. And so that's why this is important.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
important. It's a little tablet, a little nugget for you. And so again, you want to ask your partner, hey, is there anything that I can do to make our relationship better, to improve our relationship?
And let me just add to that too. So if in the back of your mind you got like 5, 6, 7, 8 things you want your wife to do, don't give her all of them at one time. And the same thing.
That's
And the
right.
same thing for the spouses or the husbands. Don't give them that many at one time. It's gonna be
Right.
like, dang, but what you like about me? So just give one or two things that they can do, and then go to work on that this week. Figure out what it is that you can do to make it better. So we do have some comments, and thank you for all the positive feedback thus far that people have shared. And now we're open. We got a few more minutes for any questions, comments that people would like to post. If you want to post them publicly at this time, and we'll just hang out for the next few minutes while you guys are doing that.
Yes. All right.
All right. And again, while that is happening, I'll go ahead and give the disclaimer one more time that, of course, this is not therapy. This is online coaching, couples one-on-one online coaching in this public forum on Facebook. If you have a private matter or that you would like for us to address or question, please send that to lifewithoutlimitscc@gmail.com. And again, just to reference the article that some of the items that we found from the article, it was from the 10 signs a marriage is in trouble, and that was found on strongermarriages.com.
Absolutely. And guys, if you've got topics that you would like to see us do, or subjects or anything like that, or ideas for future shows, we would love to tackle that too, to take that on. So.
Yep. And you can send that in an email too, or you can put it in the comments.
Put it in the comment section.
And we'll keep building our list as we go.
We go through and read all the comments. Last week there were 5, so
No, it was more than that.
I know, I'm teasing, but I'm just saying we can read them all.
All right.
Okay.
So thank you guys for
we
watching.
did have one. Let me see. My brother. Thanks for clearing that up. I have 10 things.
10 things, but I would just start with one. Okay.
Thanks,
yes.
guys.
Thanks. Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, fantastic.
I think that's it.
Have a great week.
Have a great week.
And we'll be right back here.
And remember to swallow the tablet. Ask your spouse what you can do to make the relationship better. What I can do. That's an I statement.
Me.
I statement. Yeah. All right.
So, thank you, Miss Weaver Bird.
Yes. She says, this is dope. Healthy relationships are the foundation of a healthy community. People need examples of strong, healthy marriages.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate
Thanks
that.
for watching.
All right. Have a great week. We'll be right back here at 7:30 Eastern time next week. Remember, send the link out, invite people on, because I think, just like Miss Weaver said in her comments, healthy relationships is the foundation of community.
Yeah.
You live longer, you make more money. There are a lot of great things that come out of great relationships. So God bless you, and take charge, take control, and take a chance. And we'll see you over the top.
All right. Thank you.
All right, baby.
Good night.
Bye-bye.